XQC might be one of the most unhinged entertainers on Twitch, but that's also why he's so popular. The former Overwatch pro continues to rank at the top of viewer charts every single week, and according to a recent leak, he's also one of the wealthiest streamers out there. So, with so much money at his disposal, has he even bought anything substantial? Let's dig in and find out. Let's start with the streaming setup. XQC isn't the flashiest streamer out there and doesn't seem to have the most balling setup either. In fact, let's pull ourselves back even further. His setup doesn't even look remotely expensive, which is why his chat often makes fun of him for living like a broke dude. The 26-year-old streaming room is a complete mess and is full of piles of trash and used cups just sitting there. However, don't let any of these things fool you, as they are just a facade for Felix's incredible PC. Yes, it looks janky, but that's just because he built most of it himself. But everything from the GPU to his chair is top-notch. His PC, for instance, houses an RTX 3090 GPU, an AMD Ryzen 9 5950X CPU, and a ridiculous 128 gigs of RAM. And the cost of his PC? Well, it's just a measly $10,000. And that doesn't even include all the accessories he carries on top of that. For instance, his chair alone, which is a Herman Miller M-Body, costs over $2,000. And not only that, but being a former esports pro, he can't really exist without having the best of the best when it comes to the peripherals either. So, he rocks a Logitech G Pro wireless, a SteelSeries Apex TKL, and has a ridiculous 360Hz Asus monitor for his main display. So, when you add everything up, you're looking at a number that's pretty close to around the 20 grand mark. Pretty expensive for someone who only uses it for watching YouTube videos. Next, we have the Tesla Model 3. Obviously, if your bread and butter is streaming, you're gonna spend some money on it. And honestly, for someone who earns over $500,000 per month from Twitch revenue alone, that's literally peanuts. When it comes to cars though, things start to get kind of expensive. In one of the streams, the Canadian streamer revealed that he owns a Tesla Model 3, which costs around $60,000. It's not a surprise though, as most people, especially streamers, own a Tesla or some sort of electric car these days. Not only that, but the Model 3 isn't even the top of the line model from Tesla, which is why this isn't really that expensive when you think about it. But apparently, Felix didn't buy the car for himself, but actually got it for his long-term girlfriend and fellow streamer Adept. Now, onto the BMW X6M competition. One of the most insane things about XQC is the fact that he continues to buy expensive cars, but doesn't actually have a driving license. However, he sees these cars as more of an investment, and even if he doesn't get to drive them around, he's always got other people to do that job for him. And this is exactly why he bought the BMW X6M competition, which is a top-of-the-line coupe SUV from the German manufacturer. Costing around $110,000, the BMW packs some serious punch, thanks to its 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8, and with its 617 horsepower and 750 Nm torque, this beast is incredibly fast and can reach the 120 miles an hour mark in just 11 seconds. The X6M isn't all about speed though, as it's still an incredibly comfortable car and comes with some super high-end features that you'd only find in top-of-the-line luxury cars. When asked about why he'd chosen the BMW over something like the Lamborghini Urus, the streamer said he prefers this car's feature set to the Lambo. Up next, McLaren 720S Spider. Now, you can't really be a big streamer if you don't have at least one flashy supercar to show your money off. And even though XQC isn't the flashiest guy out there and doesn't have a driving license, he couldn't escape the allure of owning a sweet fast ride. The glossy gray McLaren 720S Spider is the crown jewel of Felix's garage and cost him over $300,000 to get. And of course, that doesn't include the price of his sweet custom paint job. Rocking a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 under the hood, the McLaren is one of the fastest cars out there, reaching 62 miles an hour in just 2.9 seconds. However, despite its supercar-like speeds, the Spider is actually perfectly capable of being a daily driver as well, and even has some pretty decent luggage space, which is probably why XQC decided to go with it. He revealed the car during a GTA stream back in December while he was talking about paint jobs and car wraps. This wasn't always his first option though, as he actually wanted to buy a Porsche 911 GT3 and even signed the documents for it, but had to back out last second. This car though seems to have started a love affair between XQC and McLaren, as the streamer regularly talks about wanting to get his hands on a McLaren P1. And if you know anything about cars, you'd know how rare the P1 is. In fact, all 375 units of the car had already been sold by the time production began. So if you were to get your hands on a used model, it would cost you upwards of $1.5 million, which XQC can most definitely afford. Now we have gambling money. We all remember how gambling gambling took over Twitch for a brief period of time last year, with big streamers promoting companies and cashing out big time. However, even though that's largely gone now, thanks to Twitch's ban hammer on all sorts of promotional gambling activities, XQC is apparently still very much involved in online casinos. On one of his streams, the former Overwatch pro revealed that he's addicted to gambling and he sometimes spends copious amounts of cash on it. Now, this isn't something that he owns per se, but it's probably XQC's most expensive hobby or addiction or whatever you want to call it. Just how much does he spend on it? Well, the 26-year-old revealed on a podcast with fellow streamer Pokimane that he'd lost $1.85 million to gambling last month, which is mind-blowing. He said he's super addicted to online casinos, but refrains from partnering up with gambling companies or streaming them on Twitch. Next up is the house. Most big streamers usually either end up moving to a big streaming compound like the OTK house or get their own mansion worth millions. For XQC though, things have been kinda tricky. If you're a fan, you know that the streamer hasn't had the best of luck when it comes to owning a house. Why? Well, because he's so popular and hated at the same time, people keep doxing him, swatting him, and showing up at his house. In fact, the situation got so dire that the streamer spent over 2 months on the road, moving constantly between places every couple of weeks just so he could stream in peace. However, that doesn't mean that he doesn't own a house. In fact, while he's still on the lookout for his next condo, the Canadian is still living at his home in Austin, Texas. According to the 26-year-old, he bought the house only a month before the pandemic began, and back then, it was worth just $630,000. However, over the past couple of years, the value of his house has doubled to over $1.1 million, and the streamer is now keen on cashing out and moving to another city like LA. And finally, the 2021 Valorant Champions skin. And last but not least, this one is perhaps the best thing that XQC has ever owned in his life. The 2021 Valorant Champions skin was a bundle that Riot Games released before the end of Valorant Champions, and back in those days, XQC was super into the tactical shooter. However, as soon as he saw this skin in the game's shop, he instantly started roasting it, asking who would even spend 5,000 in-game currency on this. But in classic XQC fashion, he misclicked and ended up accidentally buying it himself. The skin itself wasn't anything special and only cost around $50, so it obviously didn't bankrupt him or anything, but it was still one of the funniest moments on his Twitch channel. And even though he was pretty stunned at what happened, Poke and other streamers playing the game with him found humor in the situation, asking him to use the skin to get its special visual effect. Yes, we know that it's not even remotely expensive, but the sheer irony of XQC roasting something and then accidentally buying it because he was not paying attention is incredible. And honestly, if you've never watched him, then this incident perfectly encapsulates XQC in a nutshell. What a peculiar man. But hey, this is also why he can be super endearing, especially for his fan base. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Do you think that XQC spends as much as he should, especially when you consider that he's one of the biggest streamers on the planet? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. We'll see you in the next one.